I never thought I would admit this out loud, but the night I caught myself staring at my boss longer than I should have, I knew I was in trouble. It felt wrong, almost dangerous, but I couldn't help it. His name is Daniel Miller. He's 38, married, and the CEO of the marketing firm where I work as an assistant. Me. My name is Emily Carter. I'm 27, living in Chicago, and until recently, I thought I had my life under control. Daniel isn't just a boss. He's one of those men who carries himself with quiet confidence. Always polite, always professional, but with a warmth that made everyone in the office feel seen. And for some reason that warmth started to feel personal to me. I told myself it was just admiration. I told myself I respected him as a mentor. But deep down I knew it was more than that. The guilt ate at me. Every time I laughed at his jokes or lingered in the hallway when I heard his voice, I hated myself a little. He had a wife, Clara, who was beautiful, stylish, and perfect in every way. What chance did I have? And why was my heart betraying me like this? One night as I was leaving late from work, I saw them in the parking lot. Daniel and Clara. But instead of the perfect couple I'd imagined, they were locked in a bitter argument. His voice was raised, hers sharp and cold. For a moment I froze, realizing that their marriage wasn't as perfect as it looked. I thought that was the worst night of my life. But it was only the beginning. The next morning at work the office felt different. Daniel came in with his usual calm smile, but his wife, Clara, showed up unexpectedly. She was tall, elegant, the kind of woman who looked like she belonged on the cover of a fashion magazine. Her heels clicked against the marble floor as she walked straight into his office without so much as a greeting. Everyone whispered. Clara rarely came to the company, and when she did, she made her presence felt. That day she didn't just make it felt, she made it sting. I was carrying a stack of files past Daniel's office when Clara's voice cut through the air. Really, Daniel? This is the girl you rely on? She looks like she doesn't even belong in a place like this. Her words stabbed me. My hands shook, the files nearly slipping from my arms. I forced myself to keep walking, but I could feel the eyes of my colleagues burning into me, judging, whispering. At lunch, my best friend at the office, Sophie, sat down across from me. She lowered her voice. Emily, you need to be careful. Clara has a reputation. If she even suspects you're close to Daniel, she'll make your life hell. I laughed nervously, pretending Sophie was overreacting, but inside I felt exposed. Clara had seen something in me, something I was trying to hide even from myself. The day dragged on painfully, and just when I thought I could escape unnoticed, Daniel appeared at my desk as everyone else was leaving. His expression was unreadable, his tie loosened, his voice softer than usual. Emily, he said, can you stay a little longer tonight? I need to talk to you about something personal. My heart skipped a beat. Every instinct told me to run, but my feet refused to move. I wanted to escape, but fate pushed me straight into a stranger's arms. That evening the office was quiet, the kind of silence that makes every sound echo louder than it should. Daniel sat across from me in the conference room, his sleeves rolled up, his eyes tired but searching. Emily, he began slowly, I know Clara spoke to you today. Sorry for what she said. She can be difficult, but it has nothing to do with you. Hearing his apology should have comforted me, but instead it left me more conflicted. Why did he care how I felt? Why did his words make my heart race? Before I could respond, the building lights flickered, then shut off. A storm had knocked out the power. Startled, I fumbled for my phone's flashlight, but before I could even turn it on, the door pushed open. A man stepped inside holding a small toolkit and a lantern. His presence was calm but firm. Sorry for the scare, he said, glancing between us. I'm Mark. IT consultant. They sent me to check the backup systems. His eyes landed on me for a moment longer than necessary, almost as if he could see the panic I was trying to hide. You okay? He asked softly. I nodded, though my hands trembled. Something about his tone felt protective, grounding. When the lights finally came back on, Daniel excused himself quickly, his phone buzzing with Clara's name. I was left gathering my things when Mark reappeared near the elevator. It's late, he said. You shouldn't walk home alone in this weather. Let me at least make sure you get a cab. Every instinct screamed that I didn't know this man. But the thought of walking out into the storm alone terrified me even more. Against my better judgment, I agreed. As we waited under the lobby lights, the glass doors swung open, and there she was. Clara. Her eyes locked onto me standing beside Mark, his umbrella poised to shield me. A cruel smile spread across her face. By the next morning, whispers spread like wildfire. Clara had told everyone she saw me leaving with a man. I braced myself for humiliation, but then something shocking happened. Mark walked into the office, looked Clara dead in the eye and said, "If you're going to spread lies, at least make them believable." The room froze. Clara's face drained of color. I thought he was helping me for a moment, but he was about to change my life forever. The days that followed felt like walking through fire. Every whisper in the hallway, every glance from my coworkers carried the same question. Was I really involved with a married man? I avoided Daniel as much as I could, but even he seemed different. More guarded, distracted. And Clara? She was relentless. Every chance she got, she reminded me that I didn't belong. She even cornered me once in the women's restroom, her voice low and venomous. "Quit while you can, sweetheart. Daniel may be kind to you, but you'll never be more than a foolish girl to him." I held back tears until I made it outside. That's when I saw Mark waiting near the entrance with 2 cups of coffee. "You look like you could use this," he said gently, handing me one. His kindness felt out of place in the cruel storm that was my life. That night, when the office finally emptied out, I found myself sitting with Mark in the corner cafe across the street. The warm light, the soft hum of jazz, and his patient silence made me feel safe enough to open up. "I don't know what I'm doing anymore," I admitted, staring at the steam rising from my cup. "I shouldn't even feel this way about my boss. And now Clara has turned my whole office against me." Mark leaned forward, his eyes steady. "You're not the villain here, Emily. Sometimes, the heart doesn't follow the rules. What matters is what you do next." His words stayed with me, echoing even when I tried to sleep. But Clara wasn't done. The very next day, she called me into Daniel's office while he was away. She tossed a folder onto the desk, her tone sharp. "Resignation papers. Sign them, or I'll make sure every company in Chicago hears about your lack of professionalism." My knees wobbled. Losing this job meant losing everything. My rent, my independence, my stability. I barely managed to whisper, "Why are you doing this?" Clara's smile was icy. "Because I can." And I ran outside. To my surprise, Mark was there again. Without a word, he walked beside me until we reached the riverfront. We sat on a bench as the city lights shimmered on the water. I told him about Clara's threat, about the guilt that weighed me down, about the fear of losing everything. He just listened, really listened like no one else ever had. Then as the wind picked up, I turned to him. "Why are you helping me? You barely know me." He hesitated, then sighed. "Emily, I do know you. More than you think." Confusion surged through me. "What do you mean?" Mark looked away, his jaw tight. "Daniel and I, we grew up together. We were like brothers once. And Clara," he stopped himself, shaking his head. "She's not the woman you think she is." My breath caught. The ground beneath me felt like it was shifting. Mark wasn't just a kind stranger. He was part of Daniel's past. And if what he was hinting at was true, Clara's secrets were far darker than I could ever imagine. I didn't know whether to trust him or hate him for the secret he was hiding. It all came crashing down at the quarterly staff meeting. Clara walked into the conference room like she owned the building, her red dress striking against the gray suits around the table. She didn't wait for Daniel to speak. She stood, her voice slicing through the room. "I think it's time everyone knows what kind of assistant Daniel has hired," she sneered, her gaze locking on me. "Emily Carter. A woman who doesn't know how to keep her hands, or her heart, away from a married man." The silence was suffocating. Dozens of eyes turned toward me. My throat tightened, but before I could say a word, Daniel slammed his hand on the table. "That's enough, Clara," he shouted, his face flushed. "This has nothing to do with Emily. If anyone should be ashamed here, it's you." Gasps rippled through the room. Clara's smirk faltered. And then Mark stepped forward from the back of the room. His voice was calm but steady. "Tell them, Clara. Tell them about the man you've been meeting at the Hilton every Friday night. The color drained from Clara's face. A wave of murmurs filled the room as the truth began to unravel. Daniel's eyes widened, his hands trembling. Is it true? He whispered. Clara stammered, searching for words, but none came. The mask she'd worn for so long had finally shattered. I stood frozen, my heart racing. This was my moment. My chance to finally speak, to finally choose whether I would stay tied to the mess of forbidden feelings, or walk away with my dignity intact. Everyone was waiting. Daniel's eyes pleaded. Mark stood firm, ready to shield me. With one word. I knew my life would never be the same again. I took a deep breath, my palms damp, my voice trembling but clear. I'm done letting your lies define me, Clara. I quit this toxic game, today. The words left my lips like a weight lifting off my chest. For the first time in weeks I felt free. Daniel's face crumbled. Emily, please don't walk away like this. His voice carried regret but also hesitation. The same hesitation that had kept him trapped in Clara's world for years. I shook my head softly. You had your chance to choose what's right. And you didn't. Mark placed a hand lightly on my shoulder, steady and reassuring. Clara, on the other hand, looked as though the ground had disappeared beneath her. The staff murmured, judgment heavy in the air. Her power, her pride, it all collapsed in a matter of seconds. I left that office with nothing but my purse and my courage. The rain outside felt cold against my skin, but for the first time I didn't mind. Mark walked beside me silently, holding his umbrella over me, not asking for anything, just being there. Weeks later I started a new job at a smaller firm, one where I wasn't judged by whispers or trapped by secrets. Mark and I grew closer, slowly, carefully. He respected my space, but his presence made me feel like I wasn't alone anymore. Looking back, I realized something powerful. Only true love gives you the strength to fight for yourself. But just when I thought I could finally breathe, an email popped up in my inbox. No sender. No subject line. Just one chilling message. Clara isn't finished with you yet. I thought my story ended here. But destiny had another storm waiting.